Now, this jar of 540 chocolate candies is a vital aspect in everybody's financial life. In fact, this simple jar is single-handedly responsible of whether or not you're going to become rich or be poor for the remaining of your life. And this may sound a little bit extreme, but it's absolutely not. And I'm going to explain that with a very simple concept. Now, according to a recent study, you're going to need about $1.1 million to fund an average 25-year retirement in Miami, Florida. And as you can see, it's a hell of a lot of money. But unfortunately, for the younger people watching, this amount of money is if you were retiring today. It doesn't factor in inflation, meaning this 1.1 million is going to dramatically increase by the time you get to retirement. But for the sake of this video, and to keep things a little bit more simple, let's just pretend inflation isn't real and politicians are finally doing a fantastic job running the economy. Now, believe it or not, this 1.1 million is extremely achievable. In fact, it's an absolutely simple process if you act on this thing I'm about to disclose involving these chocolates. And what is more, if you act on it wholeheartedly, you can turn this 1.1 million into a whopping 4.6 million. Every single person in the United States can afford to do this. According to Forbes, the average salary in the United States right now is approximately $60,000 a year. Now, some of you may earn more than this, and some of you may earn a lot less. But in modern society, where you can download an app and drive an Uber on weekends, let's be honest, it's never been easier to achieve the average $60,000. I don't see any reason why the average person shouldn't be breaking this 60K barrier every single year. But if this is something you're still struggling with, don't worry, I'm going to cover it later in the video to help you breach this gap. Now, with this $60,000 in mind, it's a well-regarded financial rule that you should be investing about 20% of your income on a monthly basis. But I want to break that mold and keep things even easier for you, because there's a way you can get by with investing just half that amount, half the amount recommended by the experts, because you can get to where you need to be by investing just 10% of your monthly income, meaning you have more money to spend on subscriptions you don't really need. Because if you invest just 10% of $60,000 a year, broken down monthly, it comes out to $533 a month. If you invest this into the market and get the average 10% a year throughout your whole working career, it's going to leave you with not 1.1 million, but 4.6 million US dollars. That's a super simple strategy a majority of people can follow. But it's so simple, this is where the problem lies, because of these M&Ms. Because with this strategy, we are assuming that investors are taking advantage of the biggest tool they have, a tool that is the maker or even breaker of financial freedom. It's not some massive return that's going to outperform the market. It's not some cryptocurrency or bogus NFT. It's not even my budgeting course down in the description. An investor's biggest tool or greatest weakness is simply put time. And if you do not utilize time, then you're going to pay for it in more ways than one. And I'm not talking about working late evenings on a third job. And I'm going to explain this with a second calculation to mirror the one from a second ago. We worked out that we'd get $4.6 million if we put in 10% of our salary for the next 45 years, which is the average working career in the United States. But let's say you didn't start investing at the age of 20. You waited, enjoyed your youth a little bit, and started investing a lot later, but you still had a staggering 25 years left until your retirement. 25 years of investing is still a massive amount of time, but what this does to your final retirement pot is absolutely staggering. Our monthly investment of $533, 10% of the average US salary, doesn't even come close to that 4.6 million. In fact, the difference is 4 million US dollars. If you did that 10% for 25 years instead of 45 years, it's going to leave you with just $600,000. Not even enough to have the average retirement in Miami, Florida, which is why it's going to make or break your retirement and how much money you have in your overall wealth. The reality is, everybody right now should be aiming for at least 1.1 million US dollars, as the study finds guidelines for your retirement. If you are watching this and you are 20 years old, you have a massive advantage and no excuses to get to this figure alone, because if you just saved 2.6% of the average United States salary, just $130 a month, and compound that in our calculation, it's going to give you this $1.1 million. So even if you're studying Taylor Swift in university for the next 5 years, you can still afford $130 a month by just driving Uber in your spare time. By doing this, of investing just $130 a month from a very young age, it's going to take care of your retirement and save you a lot of heartache in the future, as you'll probably see in the comments of this video for people who've left it a little bit longer. But the big question is, what if you are older than 20? What if you are, say, 40? Or even worse, what if you're 50 years old watching this video? Well, first, I would start by setting up a super simple visual example like you see here. Because this jar here of 540 M&Ms represents every single month until your retirement if you are going to work for 45 years. And if you get paid monthly, you can take this one step further, where every M&M represents a paycheck. And as time goes on, you take out your M&Ms and spend them however you will, and over time, it gets less and less, meaning it's harder to get to where you want to be. Now, if you are 40 years old, this is how many paychecks you have left to get to where you need to be. And if you are 50, this is how many paychecks you have left to get to where you need to be. Roughly the same amount of money in our previous examples. So ask yourself this: which jar of paychecks has the best chance of getting this pile of money? The point here is, the longer you leave this, the more pressure you put on yourselves and the fewer paychecks you have left. As a simple experiment, and especially if you're feeling overwhelmed with your personal finances, I implore you to go and get a jar of M&Ms, candy, or maybe even marbles. Put in a jar approximately how many paychecks you have left and put it on your desk or somewhere where you're gonna see it every single day. Then every single paycheck, take one out and eat it. Of course, unless it's a marble, in which case throw it away. I don't want to be responsible for strangers choking on glass. But by doing this simple method, it's gonna give you a visual representation of how close you are to your actual retirement and keep you under a level headed of pressure. And if that is not enough to calm your nerves and you're still feeling dramatically overwhelmed and panicking that time is running out, do not worry, because there is a second simple hack that you can take to get yourself back on track in a much faster way. In fact, it's a way to get free money into your retirement. And I go through the full details in this video here. Thanks for watching, and drop down your favorite candy down in the comments.